Did you know that Oviedo was the first real capital of Spain? Way back in history, 1100 years ago, the origins of modern Spain were here in the Kingdom of Asturias. This was the last stronghold on the Iberian Peninsula against the invaders from northern Africa who were ruling the rest of the country. And for about 100 years, the Asturian kings developed Oviedo into a real city with palaces and churches to rival the Visigoth capital of Toledo, which their ancestors had ruled before the invasion. And here I am today, taking you on a tour around the ancient capital of Spain. I'm Maru Hieta, your Finnish tour guide, and we're going to talk about the modern city, what it's famous for, and what you can do if you come to visit. This here is La Foncalada, a fountain from the 9th century built around the time when the city served as the capital. And on top of it you see the Victory Cross, which holds great significance in local history. More about that later. So what's special about Oviedo? While Madrid is the new capital, Oviedo has a unique charm that's very different from what most foreigners are familiar with. No drunk tourists with sunburns and flip-flops. Oviedo is often ranked as one of the cleanest and most livable cities in Spain, yet almost no one knows about it. The number of foreigners living in Asturias is notably below the national average, making this city a true hidden gem. If you walk around, you'll see it filled with beautiful architecture, green parks, and a lively atmosphere. It's incredibly clean and the locals are friendly. When you want to stop for a snack, ask for a sidra. Here in the north, the drink of choice is cider, made from local apples with a long tradition. One of its peculiarities is the way it's poured. From as high as possible, trying to heat the glass below to properly aerate the sidra. It really does improve the taste. While Oviedo feels like a movie set or an open-air museum, it's also modern and chic. You'll find malls, cafés, co-working spaces and libraries with a fresh, modern vibe. Since we moved to Spain almost 2 years ago, I've been toying with the idea of relocating here. It has a population of 220,000, a high standard of living, and with the new bullet train to Madrid, you can reach the capital in just 3 hours. You can also get to the Atlantic coast on a sandy beach in 30 minutes and reach another major city, Gijón, in the same time. Because it lies between the coast and the Cantabrian Mountains, Oviedo has a maritime climate, mild and wet year-round with rare heat waves. So it's not like the Spanish Riviera, but more like other northern European cities. I prefer places that aren't overcrowded with digital nomads like Lisbon or Condesa in Mexico City, and Oviedo still feels untouched by that boom. Now let's taste a local delicacy, Carbayones. These are puff pastries filled with a creamy mixture of almonds, eggs and sugar, sometimes with a hint of brandy or lemon. Shout out to Jake Hargus who gave me the idea in the comments. Okay, here we go. The name Carbayón comes from a famous oak tree that stood in the middle of Oviedo for 500 years. It was such an important landmark that even the locals are nicknamed Carbayones, just like this delicious pastry. That's a taste of Oviedo's cuisine, but the city has many more layers. Did you know this massive Cathedral of San Salvador has a smaller church inside it? The Cámara Santa, a 9th century chapel, holds some of the most important treasures in early Spanish history. After the fall of the Visigoth kingdom, survivors saved treasures from Toledo here. In Asturias, they used gold and gemstones to create masterpieces like the Cross of the Angels from 846, which is now the city's symbol. The Victory Cross was created here in Castillo de Gausón in Castellón, a remote castle on the coast where the Visigoths hid their treasures far from the reach of the Moors. The Victory Cross from 908, which is the symbol of Asturias. The agate box from the 10th century, donated by King Fruelas II, and the Arca Santa, the Holy Ark, containing a blood-stained cloth, said to have been wrapped around the head of Jesus after he died. Alright, let's jump into something more contemporary if you're not as big a nerd about history as I am. Oviedo is also famous for Queen Letizia of Spain, who was born here. Her husband is King Felipe VI, and their daughter Leonor holds title Princess of Asturias, just like Prince of Wales is the title for the heir apparent in England. Another important point, Oviedo is the original starting point of the Camino de Santiago. King Alfonso II did the very first pilgrimage to Santiago de Compostela by himself. Over 1,000 years later, you can still spot modern pilgrims with backpacks and trekking gear walking through the city. To touch on a trending topic, Real Oviedo, the local football team, recently won the second division and ascended to La Liga, Spain's top league. This is massive for the locals who, like most Spaniards, are passionate about football. Oviedo also has beautiful parks like Campo de San Francisco in the city center and a great balance of space, nature, and architecture. It's honestly just pleasant. While everyone's flocking to Barcelona, Madrid, or Seville, Oviedo might just be the most underrated city in Spain. There's something about the northern Spain that reminds me of Finnish cities like Tampere in the summer. I can't quite put my finger on it, but it feels distantly familiar. I just wish my Spanish were a little more fluent so I could talk more with the locals and dive deeper into the culture. And while we're at it, they also have their own language here, Asturian. The origins of Asturian go back to Roman times when legions were stationed in Legio, modern-day Leon, and Asturiga Augusta, modern-day Astorga. From there, Vulgar Latin slowly spread across Asturias, evolving into the local language. This language, known as Bable, is similar to Castilian Spanish but with unique Celtic and Visigoth influences. To the west, Galician eventually evolved into Portuguese, so in a way, Asturian sounds like a mix of the two. 10 years ago when I was playing Witcher 3 at home, I wondered if any place in real life looked like that. And Asturias comes surprisingly close. Green hills, dramatic mountains, deep history, and rustic architecture. Here on Mount Naranco, you can see across the city and surrounding valleys with a backdrop of two UNESCO World Heritage Sites built more than 1,000 years ago. This is Santa Maria del Naranco, built by King Ramiro I as a royal palace 1,200 years ago. And nearby is the San Miguel de Lillo, a church originally dedicated to Virgin Mary and later to Archangel Michael. So, what's my final verdict on Oviedo? If you're looking to discover a hidden part of Spain, one that's unknown to most tourists, this city and the region of Asturias offer a very different experience from the south. It's easy to reach by plane or train, and it invites you to enjoy a unique blend of medieval and modern Spain, unseen by most. Now it's time to head home. Thanks for joining me on this trip. What do you think of Oviedo? And where should I go next? Write your comment below and I'll try to reply to each. See you soon.